All right, friends, let's talk eyebrow products. Okay, so there's several different types of eyebrow products. We have pencils that are where you sharpen or that you twist up. We have brow gels in a pot form or in a tube similar to mascara. And then we have powders, we have waxes. We have a lot of different options when it comes to brow products that we can use. So I want to talk about what each brow product does, and then I want to show you the finishes so that you can best decide what fits your needs. So for brow pencils tend to be a little more flat, a little less shiny, they more opaque, and they're a lot softer when using them on the lid. If you're using a cream, it has a little bit more of a shine to the product, and it gives it a little bit more depth. So when you think about a product and you think about the finish it has, so whether it's a shiny or flat, like think of flat paint. Flat paint is there's no shine whatsoever, and then a satin paint has a little bit of sheen to it, right? The sheen kind of gives illumination, a little bit of a glow, and the flat paint just looks flat. It kind of looks recessed or pressed back. So when you're looking for a product, do you want to have a little bit of shine to it? Do you want it to kind of illuminate the brow, or do you want it to give depth and so that it doesn't stand out? That is where you're going to decide what type of finish you're going to have. So if you want something that's a little more flat and that recesses your brows back, you're going to go for a pencil. If you want something that gives a little bit more of illumination and glow, you're going to use a pencil that is in a twist that has a gel texture to it. Okay, so brow gels in the pot and brow gels in the mascara tube. So with mascara tube gels, one thing that you want to make sure, this is clear, I want to show you one that has the color to it. One thing you want to make sure is when you pull out your product that you are removing some of that brow gel. If you don't, typically what happens when you go in and press it into your brows, you're going to get a heaviness on one particular section of the brow, and it's going to be a little bit harder to brush out. Of course, you can always use a naked spoolie, but you want to use it quickly because gels tend to dry down and it will dry the hair in the way that you've brushed it. And so sometimes it can be a little less forgiving when it comes to blending out. Another thing is if you were to use the tip of the brow gel, it can be a little heavier in this type of application as well. So you want to remove some of that product, light applications. We're not pressing hard into the brow. We're just pressing it enough into the brow to where it clings onto the hair and it softly coats, okay? This also gives more of a sheen to the brow. So think of that satin paint. It's going to give it a little bit more of that glow. Now, if you were to use a pot, these are a little bit more dense in pigment. So when you use it with a brush, you are going to apply it with your brush. Let me go down here. And this is going to give you more depth. You can see this is a little more flat versus more sheen. So this is going to give you more depth. If you have no brow, if you have a hole in the brow, a brow gel in the pot would be a great option for you. Okay, let's talk about brow powders. So brow powders, there's plenty of them out there. You can even use an eyeshadow that is more taupe in color. You can even use an eyeshadow that is taupe in color or that has a little bit of warmth to it as well. Brow powders are great in that they give more softness and natural shape to the brow. So you don't really notice that you have brow products on the brow. It's very natural looking. Now, one thing that you want to keep in mind, is that there are also brow waxes. Brow waxes adhere to the skin. So a lot of times with brow powder, if you think about it, powder, you have to have something for it to adhere to. Otherwise, it can soften out and easily be removed, right? So if you have a section of brow, let's say you have the tail end and you need to fill that in, what you would want to do first is go over that section with your wax, and then you want to apply your brow powder. When you are filling in the brow, and let's say you don't have anything that you need to fill in, there's no missing hole or there's no shape that you're trying to create, you want to place your powder first, and then you want to go over with your wax. You can dip your naked spoolie brush in the wax. There are waxes that are clear, there are waxes that have color to them, but you can lightly just go over and then brush up into the brow. You don't necessarily want to use your brush after you've applied your brow powder to apply the wax. What happens then is it creates more intensity in those particular places that you pushed the wax into, and it doesn't look very natural. So always use that naked spoolie brush and just softly comb through.